Hi, everyone. Welcome to Authority Architects. Today we have Angela Troccoli, like broccoli, who's joining us. She's a healthcare marketing executive and head of marketing at Revicor, with a background leading product, marketing, and go-to-market strategy for healthcare and enterprise technology companies. Thanks so much for joining us today, Angela. I know we have a lot to discuss. Could you just tell us a little bit about, specifically, I know before this we were talking about what to use AI for and what not to use AI for this year. Hot topic. It seems like you have a lot of opinions. Would love to hear some of your thoughts.
Yes. So I was actually just having this conversation with another colleague because it's such a fun, easy button to use AI. But I guess I would say the headline is don't use AI for something in which you are not already an expert. So I know that might sound surprising because a lot of folks use AI almost as a replacement for search. And you can to some extent, but acknowledge that you then need to go verify it with a third party, because if it's not the expert and you're not the expert, go find the expert. So I think that AI is fantastic if you want to, kind of ideate and come up with maybe some out of the box ideas for new content, a new video. You want to come up with different headlines or taglines for something that you're working on, but don't use it to start the foundation, right? Do the actual legwork to build out your foundation, whether it's building out a corporate narrative, building out product messaging, which I feel very strongly about. Don't use AI to tell you how your product works. That is terrifying. Have the interviews, ask the right questions, have those human to human interactions first, and start with that as your foundation. Then AI can be an incredible amplifier because it's amplifying the high quality work that you already did, and it's allowing you to convert it at scale to all sorts of different assets, like a one pager or a pitch deck or whatever. But don't use it as that first ideation unless it's just to kind of hash out some crazy ideas and you want to really think outside the box. I've seen this done poorly where at a prior company, a colleague used AI to come up with the foundational messaging for a blog in which they were not an expert on that topic. And unfortunately, AI blips and it got it completely wrong. And so we ended up, luckily it got flagged before we published it, but it was like, where did this come from? These sources are broken. This is actually the inverse. And so we did have to rewrite it. And you don't want that egg on your face moment, certainly not with your boss. So I would say, definitely still do enough of the legwork that you feel confident you can catch AI when it gets it wrong.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, and it's so true. I feel like people are trying to use AI as a replacement for work, but what you're saying is do the work first or use AI to assist you, not the other way around.
Yeah. And look, there's a great kind of, I would say, rule of thumb that I've heard, and I've heard it to apply for marketing, for product development, for data analysis, right? Because you can use AI for almost everything now, planning vacations, you name it. It is taking that whole garbage in, garbage out and just magnifying it. So if you have a broken workflow or you have crummy data or you have a poor foundation for content and you take AI and go do something with it, if it's really bad, it will only magnify that at scale and make it worse. Like this tiny little crack becomes a chasm. Yeah. But if you have super, super solid foundational content, then it can spin out beautiful creative content for you that is on brand, on message, and correct at scale. So and I'm using every kind of, metaphor you can think of: crawl, walk, run. Like do the crawl first, human to human, get the foundation really clean, then go right into a sprint with AI. That's wonderful. But it will magnify the weaknesses or the falsities that might be in your work.
I mean, that's so interesting. I know we were talking about, Angela, too, how there are some videos that are fine to be AI and some that aren't fine to be AI. So I'd love to hear from your perspective, right? Completely biased, unfiltered, for or against video companies, what you think.
Video companies using AI. I would say that I'm generally for, but with caution, right? Like if you're using AI because you need to, on purpose, show something, depict maybe a landscape or an activity that's unsafe, why not use AI for that instead of put someone in a dangerous situation, right?
Sure.
We don't need to hire, you know, an actor to do that, right? These are the types of scenarios where it's like, we know the scenario is accurate, but why not use it's sort of like the new CGI. Like, why not do it safer if we can and still maintain the accuracy of that scenario? You know, maybe you don't have the budget to hire a lot of actors. And so you have one actor who is your primary that you have hired, and you've got some background actors, right? You don't have to hire all those background actors to create a video if it's for like a 1-minute commercial. You know, having made 1-minute commercials in my career, it takes days. It takes tens of thousands of dollars. People don't realize how much money and how much time goes in. And bless them, you know, it's not easy. So if you can compress the timeline and maybe even save money for your clients or as an agency by using AI, do it. That being said, I don't love the idea of using AI to depict something that is frivolous or untrue about your product. As a product marketer at heart, that you know, is something that I would consider a no-go zone. Also, if the quality of your AI is subpar and it would kind of dilute the quality of the brand that it's representing because it's subpar, that's also a no-go. And one thing that I've also seen in terms of using AI in order to depict either imagery or video, if as a marketer, you want to kind of co-brand a pitch deck, for example, don't use AI to modify that other person's brand, right? Sometimes people see that as complimentary, but as someone who owns a brand, I would find that to be kind of offensive. So like, just be mindful of what you're doing. If you wouldn't do it in Photoshop, don't do it in AI.
Right. Yeah.
That's so fair. I think that when we create AI, it's one of two use cases. Well, three use cases. One, it's using it to streamline the process of creating the video or photos or whatever we're doing. Two, and it's mostly back-end things, not the actual creation of things necessarily. It's nothing that anyone would notice.
Yeah, I love that.
Two, it's leaning into AI, making it very clear this is AI, who cares?
It's like sensationalized. Yeah, like this is an over-the-top spot intentionally.
But it's on purpose. And so you're not using it to be misleading. You're using it to make a point. And, you know, yes, in the example I gave, it's like, you know, don't put someone in a dangerous situation. If you want to create a magical situation, that's also a wonderful use of AI. Or if you want to, you know, help someone who, like, let's say that you are supporting a client who's doing executive videos and you've got one executive who cannot make eye contact with the camera to save his life, using it to correct their eye contact, you know, to help that person's brand, using it to optimize for sound quality, using it to, you know, quickly trim. And like, I need every single clip, every single frame to be set up a certain way. Why do that manually if I can have AI run it and do it within seconds? So that makes, to me, that's the ideal type of situations where you'd be using AI for video creation.
Exactly. Yeah. And for us, that the last reason is just purely like you're saying, Angela, too, is using it for visual effects. Like it streamlines visual effects so much.
But even with that application, it's certainly getting better. But even with that application, your phrase about garbage in, garbage out is so true. Like, for example, we were doing a visual effects sequence where the client wanted a vehicle in like multiple weather environments, like snow, sleet, rain, nighttime, daytime. And our approach was, let's shoot like a plate, like shoot a shot of this truck in like a nice weather environment and use that as our base. Like, let's use that as the initial information. Our initial attempt was telling AI, okay, change the weather scenarios using this shot. and it was like really wonky and like didn't look right in the transition.
Yeah.
And so what we did instead was break it into chunks where we did, okay, first create one shot based on this data that makes it raining. Okay, let's set that aside. Second shot, snowing. Third shot, nighttime. And then using traditional VFX techniques, manually transitioning between those was way more successful. So like breaking the task down too.
And that's a really interesting point, because I feel like that idea can be applied in almost every aspect of content creation. So people assume I can go into any, fill in the blank tool, and there's tens of thousands, which I find crazy.
Yeah.
But I can go into any tool and I can say, here's my outline, build me all of these things plus that other thing on brand, and I'm going to go get a coffee and I'll come right back. And it's like, well, that sounds amazing. Someday that might be the magic that we all are experiencing. But right now, it's like, first I need you to build this out for me. Then I need you to build this out for me. And I'm going to go do a quality control. And then I'm going to make sure that all of these things fit together. You have to break up the tasks in a way that, frankly, you probably would as a person, right? Yeah. Like if you're an individual doing it, you're not going to, in your brain, create this entire video that magically sequences through all of these different weather environments. You're going to film each of them individually, and then you're going to splice them together. Yeah. And I think when you break down the workflows like that, as you would if you were storyboarding it, AI responds a lot better. Because again, AI was developed by humans, and it still kind of has that like process, if this, then that approach to how it makes a call and then brings the information back to you, and then makes a call and then brings the information back to you. It's still thinking a little bit more like linearly like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think lean into AI as a marketer, as a content creator, as much as you can, but make sure that what you're starting with is an example that you'd be proud of creating as a person, and show AI what you're looking for. Don't expect that it's going to read your mind. That should really deliver you much better results with that first turn than if you leave too much to the imagination.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, Angela, thank you so much for your wisdom and for joining us today. This is all very practical and relevant advice for sure.
Thank you so much.